could run with. So if they get Melo, remember James got him number 3 in the West by himself, not by himself, but basically him being the superstar. And you add 2 more guys of that caliber, ladies and gentlemen, they could be number 2. I messed up last year and I put San Antonio number 1, but they could be number 2. And don't forget the Timberwolves book at 50 wins. So that means Houston is going to have more than 50 wins. So I'm just saying, Clay said, man, please, Melo chose to stay in New York for more money. He could have went to the Bulls or Rockets. You're absolutely right. He could have went to the Bulls or Rockets. But here's the thing, though, Clay. He said, I'm going to stay in New York and I'm going to get my money and I'm going to win. That's what he had going on in his head. That's what he had going on in his mind. It didn't work out that way. But he had every opportunity. Like you just said, he could have went to the Bulls when LeBron and them, they tried to tell him, do that 4-year deal. Don't be doing a 2-year deal or whatever it was that him and D-Wade and Chris Bosh did so they could opt out and all that stuff. They tried to get Melo to do that. He didn't want to do that. Because he was like, I'm going to stay, in New York. And then he got there. He could have went to Chicago. He could have got out of that, whatever. But he stayed in New York. You got to respect that, though, Clay. You got to respect it. He won his money, but you got to respect. At least he tried. He tried. And now that's why they're giving guys $200 million, $228 million extensions and everything, because they're trying to keep one guy to stay in his, in his city with the franchise and not go team up with a bunch of people. So you got to give him credit, for that. But Melo to Houston, if it's going to happen, because people have been talking about this, make it happen. Just go ahead. Get it over with. Make it happen. And then we can move on. And because even we already know they got Tim Hardaway Jr., but they need a lot more pieces. And it's Porzingis going to be Porzingis' team. So you might as well just go ahead and make it Porzingis' team and try to get him to stay and add pieces around him and let Melo go off, into the sunset and do whatever it is he's going to do, either with the Rockets or with the Cavs. It's inevitable, just do it. Do it. Uh-oh. Clay said, no, Melo forced his way to the Knicks by making them give up key pieces to acquire him. Yeah, he wanted to be the man. Yeah, and he thought they could add pieces after he get there, Clay, But that's my opinion. I get what you're saying, on it. He wanted out of Denver, but think about it, though. With Denver, I'm not going to say that he had a bunch of, just nasty ballers on his team, but he did get Denver to the Western Conference Finals. And he was the main cog, They had other pieces, that definitely didn't have what they had in Denver in New York. I know that. But that team still went through him. And I think that's what he was trying to do. I think he figured I can do the same thing in New York. I get my money, and then I can still pull it. And he went to the East. Everybody was saying the East is, weaker too. So I don't know. But rules are changing, in the NBA too. So that leads us into what is it? These new NBA rules. And I want to talk about these NBA rules in the NBA and a new start date, So before we talk about that, we're going to take a real quick break, and then we'll come back, and then we'll jump and dive off into NBA news. All right, so we'll be right back.
The #1 Chief Rocket Jersey firm.
Lonely Hearts Cafe.
Spicy conversations.
It's Vince Wright, the sports governor from Minnesota.
Man, Deli on.
Microwave.
Reggie Long, a.k.a. Dollars and Cents.
Taking it away from me. My name is Nathan Ivey.
the Sports Bar, also known as Stacy Sports Radio.
Victor Maroon Show.
Law 700.
Your boy DJ Peacock.
The BS3 Sports Show.
This is DJ Queen from the X Squad.
Jelani, JB Bodie, and of course, my man Lopan on the Wait a Minute Show.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
We got the jazz.
Fresco famous.
Give it to you.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you tuning in to the Wait a Minute Show with your host, Jelani JB Bodie. And we were talking about this NBA news. So the NBA has started to do some changes. So we were talking about players taking rest and all this stuff. And, you know, how was the NBA going to address that? And how would, you know, players think about it or finding people, you know, everyone was coming up with all these different ideas. So basically one of the things I think everybody was in agreement with is what they did. They changed the start of the NBA season. So they started the NBA season. The NBA season will start on October 17th. Normally, the NBA starts at the end of October, around about Halloween. So that gives them about 10 days extra to schedule games, you know, in there. One of the things that they were saying that they're going to try and all nationwide or nationally televised games, they're going to try and make sure the team have the day off previously, you know, before that. So you don't have these superstars basically saying, I ain't playing, bro, you know, and then we're watching, you know, a pickup game, you know, at the church league instead of, you know, the prime NBA players. So this is a good move, you know, for the NBA. They also, like I said, it's going to start on the 17th. So what they were talking about is that they're trying to limit the number of back-to-back games. So over the last couple of seasons, you know, the average team has been playing 16.3. I don't know why there's a 0.3. And it's down, you know, from the 17.8 that was in 2015, 2016. So to me, this is a great move, you know, for the NBA. The one thing I can say, you know, with the NBA is that 82 games is a lot. And to try and follow, you know, a lot of these games, it's hard. It's hard, especially, you know, with a back-to-back. So if you stretch it out a little bit more, one, you can hype up, you know, more games, but two, the players are more rested, so maybe you get a better product out on the court. You know, if a guy is tired or whatever, he's not going to play up to par. So those back-to-backs didn't help anyone out. You know, it was just basically trying to get through 82 games in a certain time span so you can get to the playoffs, you know. And with that, it's a good look. I like it. And you get basketball starting a little bit earlier in the season. And it won't hurt because football will still be going, but they have learned to coincide with each other. And basketball doesn't step on football toes. And, of course, you know, football is on, you know, pretty much Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, you know. So they pretty much work around each other. I think that's a good look, you know, for the NBA in starting the season early. Some of the other changes that they decided to do was to get the game to go more fluent and a lot quicker. They started to change some of the halftime and timeouts that's given in the NBA. So before it used to be 18, it's going to be cut down to 14. So basically each team will get 7 timeouts for the game for a regular, you know, first 4 quarters, I should say. They're going to get 7 timeouts. And they're changing the timeouts time limit. So, and I didn't even notice, and I should have noticed this because it's obvious that it wasn't, but 20-second timeouts, they basically got rid of them because they were saying 20-second timeouts was really, they were taking like 60 seconds. So it's just like, it defeats the purpose of having a 20-second timeout. So they're going to go from, it used to be 90 seconds for a full timeout and just go to a flat timeout of 75 seconds. So you got a flat rate, 75 seconds. You got I'm stumbling here. You got 7 timeouts instead of 9. So you cut down on 2 timeouts. And then also the last 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, you only can use 2 timeouts. So regardless, if you got all 7, you're not going to be able to slow the game down or try and change the tempo or anything. You got 2 timeouts. That's it. And there's mandatory timeouts that 2 of them are at the 7-minute mark and 3-minute marks. And of course, that's probably for TV, timeouts. And what else is going on with the rule change? And overtime, they'll have 2 timeouts instead of 3. So all of this is basically to get the game moving a lot more fluent. And halftime, which is probably the biggest thing, it will actually be 15 minutes. And from when the second quarter actually ends to the end of the 15 minutes, then the third quarter starts. So you're not out there the entire night because let's be honest, you got games going during the week. You got games at 7:30. Folks got to be to work the next day. And then let's not even forget where your bread and butter is right now, which is in the West Coast, because that's where everyone's going to probably really be trying to follow the NBA. And you got games coming on at 10:30 at night. So if you can save someone a few more minutes, maybe 10, 15 more minutes, they may be more willing to, watch that game. And then if you got, along with being able to start the season earlier, you got more rested, players more rested, you got a better product, and then you got happier fans, on it. So NBA has addressed it. We'll see how it works. We'll see what happens with this. And I think you'll maybe tweak it a little bit here and there because you're going to find out maybe what works, what doesn't, because obviously, they're players, coaches, and everything, they're going to try and use the rules, to the best of their advantage and make it work for them and gain an advantage. But I like the move. Let's move a lot faster. We don't need to just be hanging out, sitting around, because I think we all been to NBA games and we're just sitting there looking like, what are they waiting on? Let's go ahead and get this thing started, or let's keep playing, on it. So I like the move. We'll see. Clay said the NBA is usually good at this stuff, but they doing this backwards. The NBA season should start after Thanksgiving and they should end in late June. Clay might be on to something there. I'm trying to figure out, because he has a point. We always talk about how we go into this little lull with sports where there's not that much going on. And if it started after Thanksgiving and it rolled into June, late June, maybe early July, that might not be a bad idea, Clay. I definitely would entertain it and see how that would work. That gives the players the entire summer. That might work. I'm just thinking off the cuff, Clay. You might be on to something there, with it. But shouts out to Mocha Bello, who's in the building as well. Appreciate you, Mocha. We were talking about you earlier. You should have been in here. Lopan was talking about you.
Indeed.
Yeah. I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm not trying to get in trouble with Mocha. She said she's in a good mood today, and I'm not trying to mess that up. So, Mocha Bella, thanks for joining in to
It's the Wait a Minute show.
And we're finally to my rankings for the NFL. And I did this last year, and I think folks liked it and maybe sparked a little, controversy, or people, Jelani, you smoking something or something like that. But everyone, got to put in what they felt. And we're going to start with, we're doing basically division rankings. I do every division, so we're going to get started because training camp will be here, and I want to